Hello everybody, this is my week 8 last week discussion forum post. It says for this discussion, or for the final discussion forum, answer one or more of the following questions. In your reading or recent writing, identify a central claim you made in a persuasive piece. Describe this claim and explain its significance. What makes this claim compelling or convincing? Discuss the types of appeals you used to support your claim. Were they logical, emotional, or ethical? How effective do you believe your appeals were in persuading your audience? What feedback or reactions did you receive that support your evaluation? Which type of appeal do you use or do you find most effective, and why? So I am talking about my most recent paper, our last writing paper. The central claim of that paper being that teacher burnout is not simply an individual problem, but a systemic issue. It's a systemic crisis, really, that requires institutional changes in order to improve. One of those being sustained mental health support on top of institutional changes. This claim is important because it shifts the responsibility away from blaming teachers or really all school staff for not being resilient enough, and instead highlights how policies and funding and workplace structure and all of those things really affect and directly shape all educators' well-being. And it frames burnout as a systemic issue instead of like how that teacher just can't handle it. It addresses kind of the more root causes, such as workload, staffing shortages, and most recently, this last summer, especially finding out a lot of funding cuts, and that very seriously affects teachers as well. As students, that affects students real badly too. To support it, I relied on a combination of logical, ethical, and emotional appeals. I actually made a point in this paper to use less emotional appeals because I tend to be very emotional in my persuasive writing. And I tried in this paper to be slightly less emotional and more fact-based. I used logical appeals such as research and evidence-based things like statistics showing the percentage of teachers who have considered leaving the profession since the pandemic, and then also specifics on budget cuts recently, and then ethical appeals talking about the responsibility to provide safe and sustainable work environments, and then emotional appeals highlighting really like the human cost of neglecting your mental health or other people's mental health, and one of those being the things that I used was teachers talking about the reliance on antidepressants and self-reporting self-harm. And I feel that normally my emotional appeals are much more me-based, and I tried to keep this more human-based, but not about me. I do believe these appeals were effective because they were very balanced in what I used. Personally, I find ethical appeals to be the most powerful because recognizing like, oh, if I ignore this, it's, how do I word that? Like, if I ignore teacher burnout, it not only harms the educator, but also the student, and it hopefully like pushes them to see it as a necessary change and non-negotiable, you know, because it's like, it's not just that teacher's not good enough, it's now our students suffering as well. So yeah, I think I answered enough of the questions, and I am at my time limit, so bye-bye. I hope everyone has a wonderful last week.